Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Erica and we're back for another 100 Heads Portrait Challenge. Today will be a little bit different because I'm going to be posting this video in real time. I wanted to figure out how long I honestly paint one head. That way it's going to give me an idea how long it'll actually take me to finish all 100 heads. I'm not getting burnt out or anything, it's just that I'm honestly quite curious. We will continue with the monochrome series for this spread, but this time I'm going to be using burnt umber or burnt sienna, I think, for this painting. So if you guys are interested, grab your paintbrushes or your pens, pencils, whatever medium you want to use. Come join me as we paint this old man. I'll project the reference photo that I used for him here on screen. That way, for those of you who are interested in painting with me, you may join me. You can pause it to sketch it up first before you start painting. It's really up to you. So for this method, I saw one artist do some sort of wash over their paintings, whether it's gouache, acrylic, among other things, besides watercolor, of course. And I've always wondered what kind of effect it would give the portrait, which is why I'm testing it out for this one. Please forgive the background noise if you guys can hear it, because my dog is chewing on her toy. So in case you hear it, that's her. So going back, I decided to do the wash and do the painting in portions. There are different ways of painting, I know that, and I'm just trying to experiment with different ways. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of portrait artists on YouTube, and I'm trying to figure out which one works best for me. So for this one, I saw one artist who did it in portions. They started with the eyes, and then the nose, and then the lips, etc. So that's what I will be trying to do or emulate today. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You can do it your way. It's up to you, at least for those of you who decided to paint this with me. So as usual, I always start with the darkest shades and create some sort of another light shade, and then from there I paint in betweens. So I never realized how slow I paint. I do the voiceovers after, and of course when you do voiceovers, then you look through the whole clip as you're editing. So the voiceover is the editing me. So normally by now at this timeline, I would be speeding up the videos, but I don't know what got into me that I decided to post something in real time. Quite frankly, I don't know if anyone would be interested in this, but I've had DMs on my other social platforms, people asking me for real-time videos. And in my head, are you guys sure? So, just as I am experimenting with 100 heads, posting the videos on YouTube are part of an experiment as well, to be honest. I think the reason why I've been quite consistent is because I'm not putting any kind of major pressure on myself with regards to gaining views or getting monetized and stuff. In my head, all those will just be an add-on bonus with the progress and the learnings that I will be getting from this art challenge and painting. And so far, it has been very good on my mental health and well-being. I haven't been burnt out. I haven't felt like I didn't want to pick up the brush or paint. I haven't had an episode where I don't want to edit or anything. I'm always excited to see the progress that I've gotten so far. So I'll keep at it. And hopefully we'll be able to finish this 100 heads portrait challenge within the year. I'm hoping to finish it in just a few months. I don't know. But I have been quite consistent, and for that, I will give myself a pat on the back because I am proud that I have been keeping up with my promise to myself. So I'm trying to paint in portions, and quite frankly, I don't know if this is a lot faster than my other method where I just put all the major highlights and shadows first. But I think I was quite relaxed compared to that method with this one, because when I make mistakes, I can fix it right away. So there's less frustration, I think. So this might be better for those who are impatient like me when it comes to progress. You don't see the ugly face for too long, and at least not too much. Because since you focus on one area, then you polish that area first before moving on to the next one. But I think the downside to this is the worry of inconsistency when it comes to the colors, because I'm not the type who would make a big batch of like the base color or anything. I really go with the flow and work with the colors as I go. So I do a lot of layering. If you guys continue to watch, you'll see it and see the whole process. There's still an ugly face, that's for sure, but it's a little less uglier than the usual. I think I'm starting to like this method because there's a little bit less pressure, and I think being able to focus on one area and polishing it first kind of works. This method is commonly used by those who do oil painting. I've done this. I was taught this method when I was learning oil painting back in Italy. My professors would tell me to focus on one area first and polish it before moving on. I was actually quite curious if it could be applied with gouache, and so far I think it's possible. I mean, I've seen other YouTubers do it, and I was curious if I could work around it as well. That's why I'm testing it out. But seriously, I never realized how slow I paint. Will I speed up over time? I mean, I am just starting out. I don't know. Hopefully I will, because when I was painting the first girl from the previous video, and I painted the man beside her, I was a lot faster with the second portrait. Maybe because with this one I was using a different color, that's why it took longer. But one thing's for sure, I feel less stress when I paint older people or faces with imperfections versus painting somebody so beautiful, because I think the logic there is if it's beautiful, then your painting has to be beautiful. Otherwise, it would be ugly even in your eyes. Whereas if you paint an imperfect face, then you're not set on or dead on making it look beautiful. I think it's the fear of beauty. I don't know. That's such a bad mindset, but I think it's a natural reaction for anyone trying to paint or draw. I'm also testing out a new camera angle, if you guys noticed. I like this one a lot better because the camera has a better view of the actual work, and there's less flickering in terms of the camera focus. The other camera angle, I liked it because there was less chance for me to damage the camera because it's not in the way, whereas this angle actually, I have to be extra careful with the camera because I could easily hit it. But I think since I'm right-handed, this angle is much better, so I'll probably keep this one. I showed my therapist the videos, and she encouraged me to continue with them. She said I was very bad at journaling because one of the therapies that she does for me is that we have some sort of journal that I have to write on. But the thing is, I've never been good at being consistent in terms of writing it down. But she said when I do voiceovers or like I do videos and ramble, that's as good as journaling. So going back to the painting, as you can see here, I try to determine where the dark shades are. And then from there, I build on the colors. Since I'm focusing on one area at a time, as I slowly add the colors, I tend to notice where it lacks a little bit of pop from the image. Because like I mentioned in one tutorial that I made, light colors, you have to keep in mind, make an image pop out of the picture, whereas the dark colors will make the image or a part of the image sink into the picture. So I've been working on that concept all throughout with all my paintings. It's much easier to do it with monochrome paintings like these ones. Monochrome means one color or a color and then you would just add black and white. So it's easier for you to see the values versus you using multiple colors like the first few paintings that I did. I honestly think I should have started with monochrome paintings. I don't know what got into my head that I just jumped into the gun and like took a shot at the colored. I mean, I don't think I did so bad. It's just that I think it would have been easier or an easier transition had I started with monochrome. And I wouldn't be as anxious. But I don't exactly regret what I did. It's just, I don't know. That's just what I realized after doing this. I should have started with monochrome. And the only reason why I thought of monochrome was when I created that video on the tutorial on how I paint skin. And yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of monochrome first. I think the beauty of painting for me is I kind of get myself into this zone. I can't explain it. It's like I enter this world. I think this is the best description. I don't know if it's going to make sense for any of you. But when I'm in that painting mood and I start painting on things, it's like all my problems I tend to forget and I just zone in and focus on what I'm doing. So my anxiety does not kick in, or it doesn't get the chance to kick in. If you guys will notice, I randomly add dark shades here and there. It's because I don't want to waste the paint. So I don't make a lot of paint with one color, like I mentioned. But when I do have a bunch, then instead of it letting it dry out, I add it to the areas where I think I would be using that same color. It's also partly because I think I was getting impatient. But that's how I do things. As I'm watching these portions, I think what I've mastered after painting several portraits is keeping the gouache in a buttery consistency. Because I remember when I was painting my first portrait, every time I would try to mix up the color, I would get a buttery consistency on the palette. But the minute I wipe it on this paper, the paper just sucks in the water and I don't get to glide the paint on top of it. So that's one thing that you guys have to figure out. That's why you can't constantly change the paper that you're using, especially if you're trying to learn something new. You have to find a way what works for that paper. So just because, for example, you've mastered gouache on a certain kind of paper, it's going to behave differently depending on the kind of paper that you're going to be using next. Which is why for this challenge, if you notice, I stuck to one, or I dedicated one sketchbook for it. I don't know honestly if I chose the right sketchbook, but I liked the size of this one. And since I just came from burnout, I was scared that if I chose my bigger sketch pads, I wouldn't be able to complete the challenge because I'm quite impatient as a person. And if I don't finish a painting in one sitting, chances are I'm not going to go back to it and finish it later on. So I like this size because when I sit down and work on one, I'm sure that I will be finishing that painting right then and there. And yes, I paint quite slow, and this video will probably be about 40 minutes or so. Because if I recall, I painted this one in about 35 to 40 minutes, which is actually not so bad. I don't know. For the size, I think I'm quite slow. But over time, I know I'm going to improve and I'm going to speed up and I'm going to get better. The more I practice, the more I become comfortable with the medium, the more I master it, I'll surely be able to speed up the process for sure. So yeah, that's what I'm noticing here, because you'll know that if it's a buttery consistency, if you're able to wipe a straight line, or you can wipe it or glide it through without it like breaking apart. Because when you glide it through, that's when you're able to layer them. So you wipe it on top of another shade of color and then it kind of blends on its own. I think I'm trying to find a way to make it kind of work like oil. Because remember I mentioned before that gouache kind of reminds me a lot about oil painting. And I think that's what I'm looking for. And with this monochrome portrait, I realized I'm slowly getting there, I think. I think a little bit more and I'll be able to figure out how to make it work like an oil painting for me in terms of application, okay? Because the finishes of oil and gouache are completely different. So since this video has been quite long, I think I've had... So this is the first video where I pretty much don't have a limit to the amount of time I have in terms of voicing over. I don't even know if I'm going to voice over all throughout this video. But for now, I'm taking this chance to reflect on things. You know, I love this part of my room because I just hear the birds chirp. And for some reason, the birds just love hanging out near my window. And it's the most relaxing thing ever. Anyway, going back, I've been reflecting on why I decided to choose this 100 Heads portrait challenge. I could have easily done like 100 landscape paintings. I could have done 100 characters, 100 anything for that matter. But why 100 heads? I still don't completely understand why I chose the 100 heads. It just felt like I would learn so much from it. I've watched so many portrait painters authors like Emily Hughes. There's also, I think her name was Hamrib Art, and then Josh Art, I think was the other one. And there was so many others. Those are just top of mind. It's just so fascinating to watch them paint and how the brushes glide through the paper. It somehow called to me. That sounds so weird. But it's true though. And it just felt like it's something that I've never done before. I've never painted portraits. I mean, I have, but when I did them, it was for school, and I never did them freehand like what I'm doing now. I used to use the grid method, and I had that false image of perfection where it just has to look exactly like the picture. That's why I even have rulers and measurements and stuff every time I would make a stroke, which was the most stressful thing. Despite it looking great after, I don't think it was a healthy practice, which is why I have been drawing these freehand with whatever it is that I know, putting things together and trying to get rid of that crazy perfectionist girl that I used to be. But I think more than that, I just felt like if I do this, I'll be able to find my style and be able to create original paintings again. Remember when I mentioned that I went through burnout? That's what I lost. I felt like I lost my inner child, or I think she's still there. It's just that I've been trying so hard to forget her and neglect her and tell her that you shouldn't be thinking that way, that you're an adult now, you cannot be a child, you have to move on and stuff. I've been neglecting her and I've been trying to reject her, when in fact, that child is still me. I suffered from some sort of identity crisis. I would paint myself in such a way that whatever I hear from other people, that's how I believed I am. And for the longest time, if you'll ask me who is Erica, what is she, and what I do, I can only tell you things that other people tell me or what I hear from other people. But there are things that other people say about me that I disagree too, which is why for the longest time I didn't know who I was until the pandemic hit. And I think that's when I slowly started to find myself. And what I realized was Erica is all of the above. She is everything others think she is too, as well as whomever Erica thinks she is. I think that's what many of us forget. We just accept whatever others say about us, and we believe that that's the only thing that we are, when in fact, we are everything that we think we are. And more importantly, what's more important is whatever we think we are. Even if others think that we're bad, but for us, like your own sets of values tell you that you're not, then I think that's what's more important. Other people will always say whatever it is they think is right. So why can't you? Why can't we think the same? So I feel like that's what I'm trying to look for as I'm doing these 100 Heads challenge. Number one, I want to find my style. And number 2, I'm hoping to be able to start creating original works again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish that goal, but this is one step towards that goal. I don't even know where I want to take this art journey. I don't know if I want to be a full-time artist again. But for now, I think I just want to enjoy the process. So long as I'm learning something new, I think that's a big step forward to wherever it is I ought to be. So as you can see here, I just glide through the different shades with or without paint. And that's basically how I reactivate the gouache to kind of help me create midtones in between the colors that are on top of each other. So I make small adjustments here and there as I observe the painting, and I just make my own judgments. I noticed here that my painting is mid-tone heavy, which is why, as you'll see here, I started adding highlights. When you add the highlights, it creates more of a better contrast. Of course, I still have time and I'm gonna be painting some more, but adding the highlights will help me define the piece. Adding bits of highlights like this, as you can see, it makes such a big difference to the painting. On a serious note, I have to learn to speed up how to paint. This is so slow. But in terms of improvement, if I would compare this painting from my very first, in the first page, I've improved quite a bit. And I'm so proud of that for sure. I honestly don't know if I'm gonna record every single head that I paint. It would be fun to do so, but there's a holiday coming up and I'm gonna be going to a province of one of my family members, and I don't think, of course, I'll be able to bring my whole fiasco of a setup, but I do want to paint, so maybe the heads there, those are the ones that I wouldn't be able to record. We'll see. But every single time I would sit down and paint these portraits, I can't explain how much of an excitement or satisfaction I feel when I do that. I just feel so excited to test, to see, maybe I'm going to improve today, or is it going to look better than my previous one? Is it going to look worse? And am I going to have a harder time? Will I speed up? Those are the things that are running in my head. With this one, I was trying to figure out how to make strokes and then make sure that my brush would end up with a dry scratch to add a little bit of texture. Because there's this professor that I had in university that I admired so much. He had this kind of cubism style where it still looks like this. For example, this is the kind of rendering that I really liked, but it still had influences of cubism. And I think that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. That's the direction that I want to take my portrait paintings to. I want to be able to, if not replicate, find my own way of doing his cubism. The thing is, he never allowed me to take pictures of his works. And when I was asking for one, he wouldn't budge, and he wouldn't give me one. I even offered to pay. And then there was finally one time when he agreed to teach me, because I've been begging him for years while I was in school. And the only time he ever said yes was when I was graduating already. And then I was like, bro, sir, how could you do that? You only said yes because you know that I'm not going to see you anymore. And you're not going to see me anymore. And then he just starts laughing. I miss that old man. He was one of the best teachers I've had. And I wouldn't be confident in my color rendering without him. I owe him a lot. But yeah, oh my gosh, I really, really, really want to learn his cubism style. I wish I was able to purchase one of his works back then. Would have been nice to have a reference to look at, because it's not very common. After adding those highlights, if you'll notice, it's not as mid-tone heavy as it used to be. Now I'm going to be adding my darkest shade. For this one, I contemplated first whether I was going to add black, but in the end I think I did. So I mixed a little bit of black. So my blacks have like a blue undertone to them. That's why it's not too harsh. And I mixed it with my main paint, which is my burnt umber. And see how much it brought life to this painting. So that's how I usually work on things. I think I'm the type who would still work on the midtones and then adjust from where I need to adjust things. So there's an area here that I'm still going to work on for sure. The cheeks, I'm not happy with those. It's just that I'm taking things one step at a time. If there's one thing I learned when it comes to portraits, the most important part of a portrait are the eyes. I remember my professors emphasizing that all the time. The eyes, once you get the eyes of any kind of portrait, even if the other parts of the painting does not look like the person, if the eyes look like the person's eyes, it would automatically still look like the person. So first the eyes, followed by, I think, the lips. The next one would be the nose, and then everything else falls after. So I only start using the round brushes, a very, very small round brush, when I start adding lines or certain kinds of details like these. I am honestly quite surprised that I'm able to ramble for this long. Oh my gosh, I know this can hurt me, but please let me know how you guys find the ramblings, if it's something you enjoy, or would you guys rather not have these voiceovers and just have the music? I don't know if I'm even gonna follow, but I am honestly just curious too. But it helps figuring out what was in my head as I was painting this. It's actually quite enjoyable watching myself paint through the portrait, because when you're doing it, you never look at it from like a third person's perspective. You always just focus on what you're doing right then and there. Which is why when I tried to do the voiceover, not a voiceover, obviously it's not a voiceover, when I tried painting at the same time talking, it wasn't working. It was either I was just talking or I was just painting. And there would be like some sort of dead silence. And the trail of thought, I mean, even if I am doing voiceovers, my trail of thought is still all over the place. But it's a better method than painting and explaining at the same time. In terms of editing as well, it's a lot easier too. So, like I said earlier, it was still mid-tone heavy. So now I'm adding the darkest shades, especially for the hair. This is still something that I need to work on. I'm not very good with hair, I know that. But again, our focus first would be the values. You know, it's only now that I realize that I did the hair wrong. I added more hair, so I think my portrait looks a lot younger than the old man. So I made him younger. Not because of the lack of like the lines and stuff. I think it's the hair. Cuz I don't know, maybe it's also the angle, but well, then again, I can still adjust. But yeah, he had a bald spot here, but I think I put hair there. It's fine. I don't want to overthink things. It's part of the learning process. So please comment down below if you guys are interested in real-time videos like these. If you have comments and suggestions, I would very much love to hear from you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll leave you guys in a bit, and I hope to see you guys again next time. Enjoy.